What if the universe held secrets so profound that they could shatter our very understanding of existence? As I stood in my small observatory on the outskirts of Flagstaff, Arizona, the night sky stretched before me, a canvas splattered with a million distant stars. But one star, in particular, had captured my attention, its brilliance flickering as if it were a candle in the wind. It wasn't just the light that pulled at my curiosity, it was the unsettling realization that something was consuming it piece by piece. I could hardly breathe. I often found solace in these quiet nights, far removed from the chaos of the world below. As a child, I had watched my father, a passionate astronomer, peer into the vast abyss of the heavens, searching for answers to questions that lingered on the edge of sanity. His obsession with the stars had left an indelible mark on my soul, a blend of awe and fear that intertwined like the constellations above. Now, years later, I had become the custodian of his legacy, the keeper of his dreams and perhaps his nightmares. The James Webb Telescope had become my lifeline, a marvel of engineering that brought the cosmos to my fingertips. With its advanced technology, it unveiled the mysteries of distant galaxies, but nothing could prepare me for what I was about to witness. As the data streamed in, I felt a chill run down my spine, a signal unlike any I had encountered before. It was a call from the abyss, an echo of a cosmic horror that transcended human comprehension. Something was feasting on that star, a predator lurking in the shadows of the universe. The observatory itself was a character in this unfolding drama. Its walls, adorned with my father's notes and sketches, seemed to whisper secrets of the past. The smell of old wood mixed with the metallic tang of machinery, creating an atmosphere thick with tension. Each creak of the floorboard sent shivers down my spine, as if the very building were alive, sensing the disturbance in the cosmic order. I had spent countless nights here, grappling with my own demons, the haunting memories of my childhood, and the loss of my father weighing heavily on my heart. But tonight felt different. The air crackled with an energy I couldn't ignore. The lights on the control panel flickered ominously, and the temperature dropped, sending a wave of unease through me. I glanced out the window where the stars twinkled like scattered diamonds, unaware of the danger lurking in their midst. I was about to discover that the cosmos holds more than beauty. It harbors darkness that could swallow entire worlds. As I delved deeper into the readings, fragments of an ancient tale began to emerge, myths of celestial beings that preyed on stars, consuming their light to sustain their own existence. I felt the weight of those stories, echoing the fears my father had instilled in me as a child. Is this what drove him to madness? What if he had uncovered the truth, only to be consumed by it? But when night fell, something inexplicable happened. As I stared into the abyss of the universe, the flickering stars seemed to pulse with a life of its own. I couldn't shake the unease that gripped me. Every instinct screamed that something was terribly wrong. I turned back to my screens, frantically adjusting the filters and calibrating the sensors, trying to make sense of the chaos unfolding. Before me, the flicker intensified, and for a moment I could swear I felt a presence, an awareness watching me from the depths of space. Suddenly, the door to the observatory creaked open, and I jumped, my heart racing. It was Dr. Emily Carter, my former professor and a renowned astrophysicist. Her face was lit by the glow of the computer screens, but her expression was grave. "I saw the readings, Alex. You're not imagining this. It's real," she said, her voice steady but laced with urgency. "I know," I replied, my voice barely a whisper. "But what is it? I keep thinking back to the stories, myths about star-eating beings. Could they be true?" Emily stepped closer, her brow furrowing. "We need to approach this scientifically. There must be a logical explanation. But the data is unsettling. If something is consuming that star, we need to understand its implications before we lose our minds chasing shadows." I struggled to keep my composure. The memories of my father's descent into obsession haunted me, And now, standing next to Emily, I felt the weight of his legacy pressing down on my shoulders. You think I'm losing it, don't you? Like he did? There's a difference between curiosity and obsession, Alex, she replied, her gaze piercing. But we're at a crossroads. If we don't act quickly, we might miss our chance to study this phenomenon before it's too late. Her words resonated with the flickering light outside. The star continued to pulse, and I felt an inexplicable pull toward it. It was more than scientific curiosity. It was a primal fear intertwined with an insatiable desire for knowledge. I nodded, determination surging through me. Let's gather more data. We need to understand what we're dealing with. As we worked, the atmosphere in the observatory shifted. The air felt thick, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. I noticed Emily's hands trembling as she typed furiously at the keyboard. This is beyond anything we've encountered, she muttered. It's not just a star collapsing, it's as if something is orchestrating its demise. Just then, the lights flickered violently, plunging us into darkness for a brief moment. My heart raced as I fumbled for the flashlight on my desk. When I turned it on, I saw Emily staring at the screens, her face pale. Alex, look! The data streams had shifted, revealing a new pattern, aggressive spikes that suggested a massive energy source nearby, something that shouldn't exist. My stomach churned. Could it be a black hole or something worse? Before Emily could respond, the ground beneath us trembled, a low rumble reverberating through the walls. I glanced at her, both of us realizing that this was no longer just an academic pursuit. We were entangled in something ancient and powerful. We need to leave, I said, the urgency in my voice slicing through the tension. But as we hurried toward the door, an otherworldly sound filled the observatory, a haunting melody that made my skin crawl. It felt like a call, beckoning us to stay, to look deeper. I hesitated, the allure of the unknown tugging at my mind. Wait, I said, turning back to the screens. I have to know. What if this leads us to answers? Emily grabbed my arm, her eyes wide with fear. No, Alex, this isn't a quest for knowledge. This is a trap. We're crossing a line we can't uncross. But I was already lost in the data, the flickering star, now a beacon of my obsession. The gravitational pull of the cosmos had ensnared me, and I realized that the real danger lay not in the dark void outside, but in the shadows of my own mind. Just as I was about to delve deeper, the lights flickered once more, and a voice whispered through the chaos, soft, seductive, and chilling, "Stay with us." And in that moment, I understood the true cost of knowledge. As I stood frozen before the screen, the haunting voice reverberated in my mind, weaving its way into my very being. Stay with us. It was as if the star had become sentient, wrapping me in its celestial embrace, urging me to surrender to the mystery. The weight of Emily's grip on my arm anchored me to reality, yet the siren call of the cosmos echoed louder, drowning out the rational thoughts that fought to break through. Alex, don't listen! Emily's voice broke through the haze, but it sounded distant, muffled, as if she were speaking from underwater. I felt my pulse quicken, a mix of fear and fascination. The flickering star was not merely a celestial body, it was a portal to something beyond comprehension, a gateway to truths that had eluded humankind for eons. What if this was my chance to unlock those secrets? I shook my head, trying to clear the fog that enveloped me. My father's obsession had cost him everything, and now I felt the same insidious pull, as if the universe itself were testing my resolve. I couldn't let that happen. Yet the images of his frantic scribbles, the wild look in his eyes when he spoke of celestial beings, flooded my memory. Had he seen something similar? Had he heard the same whispers? Alex, focus! Emily's voice cut through my reverie. We have to get out of here. But even as she spoke, I could see the doubt flickering in her eyes. I realized then that she too felt the allure of the unknown, even as she fought against it. But then the lights dimmed again, and the screens flickered to life, revealing something I hadn't noticed before, a series of coordinates, pulsating, in rhythm with the starlight. My heart raced as I recognized them. They matched the last known location of my father's expedition, the one that had ended in tragedy. "Emily," I gasped. "These are the coordinates of my father's last signal." The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. What if he discovered something? What if this is connected? Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I thought I saw fear reflected in them. "Alex, we can't chase shadows. We need to focus on the present. What if your father was wrong? What if he wasn't?" I interrupted, desperation creeping into my voice. "What if he tapped into something real, and we're on the brink of uncovering his legacy?" The ground trembled again, this time more violently. My thoughts spiraled as I tried to make sense of the connections being forged before me. The star, the voices, my father's legacy. It all felt like a cruel tapestry, woven with threads of madness. I glanced at Emily, and I could see her struggling to maintain her composure. Was she questioning her own judgment now, or was I simply projecting my fears onto her? Suddenly, the haunting melody crescendoed, and with it, the screens flickered, revealing an image that sent chills down my spine. An ancient symbol, one I had seen in my father's journals, now pulsing in sync with the star's flicker. "Alex," Emily whispered, "this changes everything." But before I could respond, the observatory shook violently, and the glass windows rattled as if the very fabric of reality was tearing apart. I realized in that moment that the abyss was not just outside, it was inside me too. I was perilously close to crossing a line I could never return from, and the shadows of my past were threatening to consume me whole. "Get ready to run," I shouted, but the words felt inadequate. As the lights flickered and the air thickened, I knew the true horror was just beginning. As the tremors beneath my feet grew more violent, I felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through me, mingled with fear and a reckless curiosity that I couldn't quite shake. The ancient symbol, the one that had haunted my dreams and filled my father's journals, was now alive on the screen, its pulsations synchronized with the celestial star that beckoned me deeper into its enigma. "Alex, we need to leave," Emily shouted, her voice barely audible over the cacophony. But I didn't move. I was rooted to the spot, caught between the past and the present, a prisoner of my own obsession. The siren call of the star intensified, wrapping around my consciousness like a vine, squeezing tighter with every beat of my heart. "Stay with us." The voice echoed again, a harmony of tones that seemed to resonate within me. It was no longer just an invitation. It felt like a demand, as if the cosmos itself had chosen me. I could feel the weight of destiny pressing down on my shoulders, and in that moment, I was torn between the legacy of my father and the life I had built. With Emily. "Alex, please." Emily's voice broke through the haze once more, her grip tightening on my arm. "You have to fight this. We can't let it take you." But as I looked into her eyes, I saw not only fear, but also a glimmer of something else, an understanding. She knew how deeply I craved answers, how I longed to unearth the truth behind my father's disappearance. What if he was right? I whispered, the question hanging heavy in the air. Suddenly, the screens exploded with images, my father's frantic handwriting, diagrams of celestial alignments, and then the symbol again, now spinning wildly, drawing me in. I staggered back, nearly losing my footing, when I caught sight of something darting out of the corner of my vision, a shadow moving against the flickering lights. "Alex!" Emily cried out, pointing. I turned just in time to see a figure emerging. From the darkness, a silhouette that felt both familiar and threatening. It was Dr. Malkovich, a colleague of my father's and a man who had always been shrouded in suspicion. His eyes were wild, lit by a feverish glow. "You're too late!" he shouted, his voice a mix of triumph and madness. "The star is awakening, and it's calling for you." "Get away from him," Emily shouted, stepping forward, but I held her back. I couldn't let fear dictate my choices. "Why are you here?" I demanded, my voice steady despite the turmoil around me. "What do you want?" "To harness its power," Malkovich replied, a manic grin spreading across his face. "Your father was merely a vessel, And now it's your turn to embrace the truth. The ground shook again, and I felt my resolve wavering. The gravitational pull of the star was overwhelming, and I could feel the boundaries of my sanity blurring. I had to make a choice, embrace this legacy, or fight against it. "Emily, we have to decide now," I shouted, my voice barely breaking through the chaos. The walls of the observatory trembled, and the star pulsed brighter, its light washing over us like a tide. I felt the weight of the moment pressing down, a decision that would shape not only my destiny, but Emily's as well. As I stood there, caught between two worlds, I took a deep breath. I had to confront the truth, to either step into the abyss or find a way to pull us both back from the edge. The choice was mine, and the clock was ticking. I took a deep breath, the air thick with tension and the acrid scent of burnt circuits. "Emily, let's fight this together," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. The ground shook again, and I could see the uncertainty in her eyes, but there was also a flicker of resolve. With a nod, she stepped closer, grounding me. "We can't let it take you, Alex. It's not just about your father, it's about us." Malkovich's laughter echoed through the chaos, a twisted symphony that only fueled my determination. "You think you can resist it? The star has chosen you. You'll never escape your fate." In that moment, the vibrational pull of the star surged, and I felt it beckoning me deeper into its gravitational embrace. I closed my eyes, focusing on my heartbeat, the rhythm anchoring me to reality. "No, I choose my own fate," I shouted, the words igniting a spark of defiance within me. With a sudden surge of strength, I reached for the console, my fingers dancing over the controls, desperate to disrupt whatever Malkovich had initiated. We had to break the connection, sever the bond that was drawing me in. The screens flickered, and I felt an electric charge course through my body, a violent clash between my will and the star's insistent call, and then silence. The lights dimmed, the tremors subsided, and I stood panting, drenched in sweat, heart racing. I opened my eyes to see Malkovich collapse to the floor, the manic gleam in his eyes extinguished. The star flickered, its light dimming as if it was retreating, but a faint hum still lingered in the air, a reminder of the power that had nearly consumed me. "Is it over?" Emily asked, her voice trembling as she gripped my arm. I looked around. The observatory, the once vibrant screens now dark and lifeless. "I don't know. It feels different, but not entirely safe." As we regained our bearings, I noticed something glinting on the ground where Malkovich had fallen, a small, ornate key etched with the same ancient symbol. My breath caught in my throat. "What is this?" I muttered, picking it up. Emily leaned in, her brow furrowed. "It looks like it belongs to the archives. Your father's notes. He always mentioned a hidden chamber." A chill ran down my spine. Had we truly escaped, or had we merely opened a door to something even darker? Before I could voice my concerns, I heard a groan from Malkovich. He was stirring, but his eyes were vacant, as if the star had drained him of everything that made him who he was. "You don't understand. It's only just begun," he croaked, his voice hollow. I exchanged a glance with Emily, fear intertwining with curiosity. "What did he mean?" I whispered, the key heavy in my palm. As we backed away from Malkovich, the faint hum returned, pulsating in the air. I felt it deep within me, a call that echoed the star's earlier demand. We had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The door creaked open behind us, and I turned to see a shadow moving in the doorway, a figure cloaked in darkness, watching us with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. "Who's there?" I called out, my heart racing again. Just then, Emily's grip tightened on my arm. "We need to go, Alex, now." But as we turned to flee, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lay ahead was waiting for us, and the mysteries we had uncovered were only the beginning. I took a deep breath, the air thick with tension and the acrid scent of burnt circuits. "Emily, let's fight this together," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. The ground shook again, and I could see the uncertainty in her eyes, but there was also a flicker of resolve. With a nod, she stepped closer, grounding me. "We can't let it take you, Alex. It's not just about your father, it's about us." Malkovich's laughter echoed through the chaos, a twisted symphony that only fueled my determination. "You think you can resist it? The star has chosen you. You'll never escape your fate." In that moment, the vibrational pull of the star surged, and I felt it beckoning me deeper into its gravitational embrace. I closed my eyes, focusing on my heartbeat, the rhythm anchoring me to reality. "No, I choose my own fate," I shouted, the words igniting a spark of defiance within me. With a sudden surge of strength, I reached for the console, my fingers dancing over the controls, desperate to disrupt whatever Malkovich had initiated. The screens flickered, and I felt an electric charge course through my body, a violent clash between my will and the star's insistent call, and then silence. The lights dimmed, the tremors subsided, and I stood panting, drenched in sweat, heart racing. I opened my eyes to see Malkovich collapse to the floor, the manic gleam in his eyes extinguished. The star flickered, its light dimming as if it was retreating, but a faint hum still lingered in the air, a reminder of the power that had nearly consumed me. "Is it over?" Emily asked, her voice trembling as she gripped my arm. I looked around. The observatory, the once vibrant screens now dark and lifeless. "I don't know. It feels different, but not entirely safe." As we regained our bearings, I noticed something glinting on the ground where Malkovich had fallen. A small, ornate key etched with the same ancient symbol. My breath caught in my throat. "What is this?" I muttered, picking it up. Emily leaned in, her brow furrowed. "It looks like it belongs to the archives. Your father's notes. He always mentioned a hidden chamber." A chill ran down my spine. Had we truly escaped, or had we merely opened a door to something even darker? Before I could voice my concerns, I heard a groan from Malkovich. He was stirring, but his eyes were vacant, as if the star had drained him of everything that made him who he was. "You don't understand. It's only just begun," he croaked, his voice hollow. I exchanged a glance with Emily, fear intertwining with curiosity. "What did he mean?" I whispered, the key heavy in my palm. As we backed away from Malkovich, the faint hum returned, pulsating in the air. I felt it deep within me, a call that echoed the star's earlier demand. We had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The door creaked open behind us, and I turned to see a shadow moving in the doorway. A figure cloaked in darkness, watching us with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. "Who's there?" I called out, my heart racing again. Just then, Emily's grip tightened on my arm. "We need to go, Alex, now!" But as we turned to flee, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lay ahead was waiting for us, and the mysteries we had uncovered were only the beginning. With the key clutched tightly in my hand, I felt a surge of clarity wash over me. The truth was unraveling, hidden truths that had been veiled in layers of lies and deceit. My father's work was not just about the star, it was about the legacy of power it promised. Malkovich had been a puppet, but the real puppeteer was still out there, and I was now entangled in a web of cosmic destiny. As we stepped into the unknown, I realized that the star's light was not just a lure, it was a revelation. The truth before me ignited a fire of determination. I would find out what lay ahead, and I would not face it alone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Share with your friends so they can also embark on this mystery-filled adventure. Leave a comment below telling us your favorite part or what kind of ending you'd like to see in a future story.